Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this season, Devin Vassell, 18.5 points, 3.9 boards. Let me check the numbers again here. 3.6 assists. I'm about to go to Basketball Reference because, Ethan, this is going to be a little bit of this will be a little bit of an off-topic tangent here that I want to go on, but I really just want to touch on Devin Vassell's improvement because I think it's so important to keep in mind like this context whenever we talk about our rookies right now. I understand that it's different circumstances last year, and that's why you just mentioned Malachi. Who knows? Maybe Malachi ends up being the better player. You never know because we saw so much from him in this past season because of the nature of the team, right? Mm-hmm. But let's just look at Devin Vassell's his 3 seasons in the NBA so far and what his stats have been in improvement. I'm not going to pull this up on the screen share, but I'm just going to read them to you. Okay. So his first season, 5.5 points, barely 0.9 assists, 0.7 steals. He did have 3 rebounds, basically 2.8 rebounds. That was about it, right? That was his total stats that season. Obviously, it's his rookie season, but he did play 62 games, which is pretty interesting. But still, it says minutes played per game. It says he averaged 17 minutes that rookie year, which is interesting. I didn't realize he started 7 games his rookie season also. But regardless, it was his rookie season. You saw the numbers. I'm sure that was due to injuries. And then in his second season, 71 games, jumps up to 12 points, 1.9 assists, a steal per game, and 4.3 rebounds, right? Mm-hmm. So you see the little jump there. But here's this season, and I know it's only 38 games because of the sore knee and everything, but I think any person who watched Spurs games this year, especially if you're a Jazz or what was the other game where Devin went off?
Atlanta,
yeah. If you're a Jazz or Hawks fan, you know that Devin Vassell is like, as much as the Spurs are still rebuilding next season, like you know that Devin Vassell has the potential to get some clutch buckets and be a dog, in those clutch moments. I mean, literally on Lauri Markkanen, their best player. Obviously, the Jazz, weren't even in the play-in. But I'm just saying that was a objectively better team than the Spurs this year, just really in his career, Lauri Markkanen is ahead of Devin Vassell. Yeah, and he's 7 feet tall, and that I will never forget that behind the back. Step back jump shot in the mid range on the elbow in that game, dude. Like, I don't care about this season. As you can see, I'm already going on a tangent on it, Ethan. But let's get back to this season. Devin Vassell jumped up to 18.5 points, 3.9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and stayed steady with a steal a game. And the thing that stands out to me too, Ethan, is really if you watched most of the games, it was more like 25-5. That's just what the averages came out because there were some games where obviously you have off games, but the majority of the games he had around 25-5, which is why his stats are what they are. And to do that at 22 years old in his 3rd season, that I just think that I really wanted to mention this because when we talk about guys like Blake Wesley, I think this is something that we need to keep in mind. I'm not saying that he's going to maybe he doesn't work out. But I'm just saying, let's not write him off yet when we've seen this type of development from Devin and Keldon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just ignoring the numbers. I mean, the numbers speak volumes, obviously, but in the first season, he played 60-something games, like you said, but he was playing with some older veteran guys like Rudy, like Patty, like DeMar, DeJounte even. So obviously he's not going to get as many touches.
He was an off-ball player too. He was just a 3-and-D guy first year.
That's what I was going to say. He was drafted as a 3-and-D guy. And so that's basically all he did. He sat in the corner and he did his best on defense to be a solid one-on-one perimeter defender. And I think he succeeded in that role. He came back the next season and he added a little bit to his game. He was a little bit stronger. He could take the hole a little bit better. Still not a huge jump, but he was playing alongside DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, all those things. But now he's completely redefined his game. Like, yes, he could still knock down the three-point ball, be a floor spacer, all those things, spot up, run off screens. But he's also a much better ball handler, extremely improved in that area of his game. He can come off screens. He has the mid-range jumper, the in-between game.
He showed off his bag this year.
Absolutely. And I think that stems from his rookie year when Rudy Gay said, he's my guy. He's my rook. And he spoke, heavily about how Rudy Gay was the guy that he looked up to in the locker room.
That's a really good point.
Rudy Gay was a dog back in his Sacramento Kings days. I mean, he's a
especially
guy
in the
that
mid range. Even with the
absolutely.
Spurs, he was still like that in the mid range.
He was a walking bucket, so it makes sense that that's kind of how his game has evolved, and he's
Yeah,
become, in my eyes, next to Malachi, the best, you know, scorer off the dribble as far as creating
absolutely.
his own shot.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got a way stronger. I mean, the dude is yoked now. When he came into the league, he was a
Hmm.
string bean. And
Yep.
the last note I'll have on his game is confidence wise, he came in super timid. He wasn't
Hmm.
much of a talker, kind of quiet in interviews, not much of a social media presence.
Yeah.
He's a completely different guy. I mean, he is outspoken. He's arrogant, but not in a
Y'all
bad way.
stop coming in that Victor dude.
Yeah, right. What's the
Oh,
word I'm looking for? Delirious
I love
confidence.
him.
But I like that in a guy with his skill set and his game because he has all the measurables. It was just a matter of getting confident, getting in the gym, and he has consistently proved that he is that guy that deserved to be drafted in the lottery.
Yeah.
So give him a completely healthy offseason. As far as we know, no
Forgetting he's a
surgeries
lottery pick
pending.
too, man.
Lottery pick. I mean, when he, like you said, like the 25 points a game when he's right. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but he
No,
definitely.
no, no. I meant 25 and 5. Like he really this
Oh.
season, that's what I was saying earlier. Like I was because the stats were 18 and a half, but it was basically 18 4 and 4, and I was just
Mm.
saying the reason it's that is cuz you have some off games here and there, but the majority of the games this season that he played, he was getting around 25 and 5.
And
That's
how
what I
many
was
of
saying.
those? I wonder how many of those
Which
were
that's a
really
great stat
eligible.
line for
Yeah,
that's like a obviously once again unique circumstances this season, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way when I say this, but that's like a Devin Booker esque like uh, stat line.
yeah, for sure. And similar games, like at this point in their
Yeah,
careers. Obviously, Devin Booker's like extremely
right.
prolific.
Not
And
trying
all the
to
things.
say that he'll be Devin
Yeah,
Booker. That's not what we're saying.
absolutely not. But I think Devin came in with a better floor defensively, maybe than
Yeah,
Devin Booker. But yeah, I mean, the sky is the limit for this kid because of how much he has improved from year to year. And even when he was injured, he was out for what 50 something games. He was always on the bench and he was always vocal. He was always
yes,
cheering on the guys.
that's
Big
such a good
chemistry,
point.
dude. And he, as far
Ken
as I know,
Birch, where you at, bro?
that's right. There's Ken Birch. If Devin could be there, Ken
That
Birch could be
probably
there.
actually wasn't his fault. The
No,
team
probably
was
not.
like, "Go, we'll pay you, do whatever."
But I feel like I'm rambling right now. But I think you get my
No, you're
point.
not. No,
Like,
I got your point.
definitely a
Yeah,
dog, and I'm extremely excited to see what he can do with a healthy offseason next to the full team, who also has had a healthy offseason, knock on wood, as far as we know, and Victor Wembanyama coming aboard.
absolutely. And I, also his knee shouldn't be chronically sore anymore. So that should be
Yeah,
nice too. Doesn't
surgery's
have to
out of the
manage
way.
that as much during the season, right? Last year was the perfect time to do it. Um, Yeah, man, when it comes to Devin, you basically said it all. I think the thing, like I already talked about his improvement.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's what I opened up with. But the biggest thing that I want to hit on that you also touched on is how even like last year, and when I say that, I don't mean like this past season. I mean the season before that. So that'd be 21-22. Let me double check that. Yep, right. He was still kind of there were a little bit of evolvements in his game, but I was still kind of thinking of him as a 3-and-D guy. Now, granted,
yeah,
obviously when we traded DeJounte, I knew his role was going to increase, and I was very excited to see what his potential could be. I'm sure we could go back and, there's videos of us, me and you talking about how excited we are for this new era with Devin and Keldon, right?
yeah,
But still, man, his bag this year, like that I feel like that really like he may have always had that, like and just didn't get to show it that much. But I feel like that was the thing that really just
for
changed his
sure.
trajectory this season. As you mentioned, as a lottery pick, he was a 3-and-D guy. And I mean, some 3-and-D guys, this is an exaggeration, but some 3-and-D guys like that are, they can become all-stars.
For sure.
Right. And they're still, big scorers, but they're still mainly kind of those two things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He introduced us to a completely different part of his game this season. And, he wears 24. He's got the leg sleeve. We know Kobe's his inspiration. He wears them. Yeah, man, it
Yeah.
just,
I was gonna say I can name
anyways,
3-and-D guys right now that became all stars that are like I could see being compared to Devin Vassell, and that's Chris Middleton, Jimmy Butler, Paul George.
yeah. Yeah. Obviously, like you could say those guys are a little bit bigger than him, but still, I understand what you're saying, especially with Chris Middleton and PG. But yeah, just like that was a whole different layer to his game, and you can see the Kobe influence.
For
Like
sure.
it was, that's what you really got to see this season. I'm not saying he's going to be Kobe, but I'm just saying he has that back. He can go get a bucket on top of being a reliable spot up shooter and reliable defender.